Bankruptcy can be a scary thought for many, but it's often a very misunderstood process. And joining us now to explain it all is Blair Mountain with Sons and Associates. And Blair, you have broken it down very easily for us. And we're going to start off with the way that bankruptcy actually affects you.
So the biggest impact of bankruptcy, as soon as you file bankruptcy, is suddenly you can breathe again. You get relief from the people that are chasing you. Maybe they're harassing you, taking you to court. Maybe you've been sued and they're taking your wages. Even if it's government debt, if you file for bankruptcy, everything stops. There's a ceasefire and you can suddenly breathe. My clients tell me they can finally sleep again at night. They're less worried.
But they do have to freeze all activities, right?
That's right. So again, any of those collection calls, those angry letters, the things you just don't know what to do to deal with them, as soon as you've got a trustee helping you, they deal with the trustee and you deal with the trustee rather than directly with your creditors.
All right, and of course, your credit rating would be impacted.
Yeah, that's the biggest negative of bankruptcy, and there are some myths about it. It doesn't mean you're untouchable for the rest of your life. It doesn't mean for 7 years no one will ever loan you money. It does mean once you finish bankruptcy, and usually bankruptcy lasts about 9 months, once you finish those 9 months, if someone pulls a credit report for the next 6 years, they'll see that you went through a bankruptcy. Doesn't mean they won't loan you money. Most of the time, after 2 or 3 years of solid credit rebuilding, of saving a little bit of money, of not putting all your money on interest payments like you're doing now, you're actually in better shape after a bankruptcy to rebuild your credit and maybe get the mortgage that's your goal.
All right, and I guess the big bonus or the big point of filing for bankruptcy is that your debt is written off.
That's the whole upside, right? You'd never do something unless there was a benefit to it. The negative is you take a little bit of a hit on your credit. The benefit is just about every debt under the sun, again, whether it's student loans, income taxes, ICBC, credit cards, everything you can basically think of just about can be dealt with in a bankruptcy. You've got the right to get a fresh start to move forward unburdened by debt.
All right, so it'll be a big decision to decide to go through with that. But there are, I guess, a lot of misconceptions about who can be affected by you filing for bankruptcy. So let's go over some of those.
Yeah, the biggest one that I hear quite often is, what's going to happen to my spouse or what's going to happen to other family members? Are they impacted? The answer is absolutely not. So one spouse filing for bankruptcy does nothing to the other person's credit rating. It doesn't suddenly make the other person liable to pay off some of the debts that they incurred. Nothing really changes. If the other person's on the hook, a spouse or whatever, it's not going to change based on a bankruptcy. There's no automatic liability that happens. One person can deal with their debt problems without impacting other members of the family.
All right, what about your employment situation?
Yeah, another big fear. People think, is my employer going to have to know about the bankruptcy? The answer is no. The only reason I would ever notify an employer is if your wages were already being taken. Things had already gotten so bad that your employer knows because they have to ship some of your paycheck off to a creditor. Then I tell the employer, okay, we can stop doing that. You get your full wages back. Otherwise, there's no automatic notification of any employers.
Okay, now obviously your financial freedom would be limited, but what about your freedom to leave the country or to travel?
Another common misconception. There's no impact whatsoever on your passport, on your citizenship. Even if you were in bankruptcy and you had to travel, you had to leave the country or even move, you could do that. There's no tie between citizenship and owing money or not. They're two independent things. Nothing happens between them.
All right. Now we know that there is a lot of stigma and sometimes shame of filing for bankruptcy, but when would you say are maybe some of the key points where it might be worth it to just go ahead and do that?
Well, I think you've got to look at every situation differently, but really look at what you're doing now on a day-to-day basis and are you getting ahead? If you're putting all your money towards interest payments and next month you almost owe the same amount, it's going down just marginally, you could do that for 20 or 30 years and the banks would love you, but you'd be no better off. So really look at what you're doing day-to-day. Are you getting ahead? If you're starting to get collection calls, if you're starting to get lawsuit notices, come in and talk to a trustee. It's a free confidential meeting. We'll put you on a good path, and it doesn't always include bankruptcy. There's many other options, but for some people it is the right way to go forward.
All right. Well, some great information, Blair. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.